Hi there. Welcome to Conscious Mind Tripping with me, Audrey Newmont. I'm not doing a live tonight. I'm re-recording because I got a date. So I have a few things that I wanted to talk about, which is why I'm pre-recording. So this is going to be one of those things you're going to want to listen to because there's interesting things that are going on and things that we can do about it. The first thing I'd like to talk about is this. It's nicotine. Believe it or not, they're nicotine flakes. My friend Katie makes them. Katie's Organics. You can go online and look her up. And I just take a little pinch of nicotine at least once a day. And there's a reason for it. So here's your homework. You go to online, YouTube or anywhere, and you Google Bryan, Bryanardis, Bryan Ardis, and the word nicotine. And he's got some short videos on there that you might want to watch. It's fascinating. And there is a lot of good information there. So it's really good for your health. And as the full moon is coming up, it's a great time of letting go. Here's the other thing. This is a Paracleanse by my friend Katie as well. I'm starting this tomorrow, and it's all kinds of natural ingredients. It's all organic, and it's a good time of letting go of things inside of our bodies that don't really work for us. So you can Google that as well. And if you're interested, contact my friend Katie. You can see her all of her information if you go to Katie's Organics online, Catie. So those are two things about our health. Next thing we're going to get into is our emotions and our mental stuff. So something that I have been noticing and paying a lot of attention to is being authentic. You know, I heard it a while ago, they said authenticity is the number one. So I was thinking in my mind, I kind of thought appreciation is number one in the hierarchy of feelings over here. And so I've been doing a deep dive on it, and it's very interesting to look at. So I want to get into this with you because there's a lot of inauthenticity going on. And it's one of those things that makes or breaks us. So I want to dive into that a little bit. And I want to start with a little bit of a story. Oh my goodness, that's Mr. Newmont. We're going to tell him that we can't talk right now. For goodness sakes, I forgot to turn off my phone. At any rate, the story is, and it's just a really quick, easy one. I was on the phone today with one of my friends, and we're talking about all these things. It's another professional that I'm doing some, let's just say, referring to. And we were talking a little bit more, and they were telling me that they really like this person that they listen to. You know, we share different kinds of information. I'm not going to get into who the person is, but it is a person who channels. And they said, wow, I really love this person and I like what they do. And I listen to a lot of different people who channel, including my husband who channels Merlin. And it's a lot of really great information. And this person that she's talking with, they do have really good information. And they had a video, it was about a year ago. They had an audience, and this member of the audience asked a question. And the answer that they gave was, I was just a bit shocked. And it felt to me like a bit of a manipulation. And when she asked me, you know, do you like this person? I was like, well, you know, I have all these other people that I listen to. When that came on, that was a bit of a turnoff for me. So I'm not going to put myself in a situation where I'm going to be manipulated like that. And it was interesting. I could have easily said, oh, yeah, they're great. But I've, in my own life, been practicing authenticity because a long time ago, I was looking for a husband in my life, and I really wanted to have a man that had integrity, character, and morals, and was authentic. So I made a vow a long time ago that I wasn't going to lie. And in all those years, I've told a few little white lies, and mostly for other people, but for the most part, I'll either say the truth, or I just won't say anything at all. And in this particular situation, it was like, I'll say it and they're going to have to just take it as it is. And then I've also got some situations of things that are going on around me. And we'll get into that a little bit of what this looks like. But I can tell when people aren't being authentic. Most of the time, I don't care. That's where they're at. That's what they're doing. It doesn't really affect me. And a lot of times it's not about me. So I don't go there. But I got to thinking about it and have been bringing that up with some of my clients, because when you're not authentic, it really has an impact on our lives. It has an impact on so many ways. So I want to get into that right now. And I made some bullet points for myself. I've got my notes on the computer now instead of on these massive pieces of paper that I write on. So when you're looking at authenticity, it's a prerequisite for your emotional honesty. So much of the time, like for instance, you'll ask somebody, how are you doing? Or they'll ask you, how are you doing? You're like, oh, I'm fine. Meanwhile, on the inside, you're not fine at all. Or there's other examples of somebody will ask you, did you like that? Oh yeah, I liked it well enough, but you didn't. And a lot of times we're not authentic because in some way, shape, or form, we're thinking that we're going to get ourselves into trouble if we're not authentic, or I just don't want to have to deal with the fallout, or I don't want them to, be angry with me. Whatever the situation is, much of the time in our lives, we've learned that, oh, it's nothing. It's just a little white lie, or, I don't want to get into it with people. But when you're not being authentic, it's within you. It weighs on in you. So let me see, I've got notes in both places. So the other part, when you're being inauthentic like that, remember I've been working and saying so much about how the heart is the most important parts of us. So when our heart is feeling all of those different kinds of feelings and we're not expressing what those feelings are, that's a part of really stuffing it down and not honoring the feelings so that we can work through it. So when you are in cognitive dissonance, which is what that is, it has an impact on our bodies. So inauthentic emotions block our access to our higher emotions, our higher states. So when you're not acknowledging and dealing with the emotions that we're dealing with, all those things and what I call your fear feelings, if those aren't being acknowledged, if those aren't literally being addressed in some way, shape, or form, then that has a tendency, you don't get to go into your higher states. You don't get to, be in love and massive joy because there's this blocking and you're not authentic with what's going on. So it's important to be in those moments and be authentic to what's actually going on. So another one is authenticity unlocks emotional influence and connection, which is what I was just saying. So when we're with another person, there's a part of it, like I said, I can tell when somebody's not being authentic with me. There's a certain things that happen in the body language. There's things that happen with the energy in a body. And when somebody's not being authentic, think back in your life or think of what's going on right now with people in your life. Can you tell when somebody's not being authentic with you? A lot of times it goes both ways. They can tell as well. So when you're being authentic with somebody, it gives you a certain amount of trust with the other person. And sometimes if you're having something that it's like, I don't want to say anything or what that looks like. The interesting thing is, and this just came up in session today, when we're not being authentic with another person and we're repressing it, you're not giving them the opportunity to see what it is that they've got going on. We're mirrors for each other. So if we're not authentic with somebody and we're just hemming and hawing around things, we don't give them the opportunity to see what they have going on. I've got some people that I know, it's like they have in a lot of their lives not had people be authentic with them, and they have not been able to address the unconscious that they've got going on. Remember, in your controller, in the mind, we all have that huge part of our mind where we're unaware of what we're unaware of. So if people aren't being authentic with us and sharing with us, hey, you're doing this, you're saying that, then they're not being a mirror so that we can address the things that we've got that are unconscious, that we just don't know that we're doing. So the other part about authenticity, it's the immune system of the psyche. So when we have repressed or faked emotions, they don't just disappear, they go underground and they manifest as addictions, chronic anxiety, passive aggressive. They also create physical illness. Remember, the body keeps the score. So when we're repressing these things, there's where we go. And it's no accident that there's a lot of people right now that are massively struggling. There's a lot of repressed emotions going on. So when you're living authentically, it's like your emotional hygiene. It's that part where it's like, all right, I see this is going on. I'm going to do the process of dealing with it. And it's a continual cleansing out of the stuff that goes on. Like if you think about it, like the car analogy, you don't just leave your car dirty all the time, leave your windshield dirty all the time. There's a process that you go through of cleaning it. When you're being authentic and when you're addressing it, even if it's within yourself and the people in your life, that is you, getting that, it's like a car wash for yourself. Always feels good when you come out of the car wash. These things I come up with. So it's the process of feeling what you feel when you feel it and dealing with it as soon as possible. So you're feeling angry. All right, what is this? I'm being authentic with myself. Maybe I'm being authentic in a constructive way with whoever I might be angry about or whatever I might be angry about. So you're taking that time to focus more on the solution of it and deal with those emotions than just pushing them down and saying, oh, I'm fine. It's all okay. I'll just do whatever. So this method allows the energy to move through and be in the cleansing of it instead of getting stuck in us. So that part of being angry in particular, I know I've talked about that before. So many times I talk with people and it's like, I've got anxiety. It's like, really? What does that look like? And a lot of the time, the anxiety is actually suppressed anger or suppressed other feelings. So when I say here chronic anxiety, that comes up first. Being inauthentic is a precursor to chronic anxiety. And when so many people have anxiety right now, that's just one portion of it. But when you're dealing with that one portion, it really helps to work with all the other aspects of it. So the method with this practice, sometimes people are just numb and they're dissociated. They're literally faking. It's that thing when I say people have the traumas, all these things, and they don't know how to or don't want to deal with the emotions. So that hitting of a wall, they put the car over there and I'm just not going to deal with that stuff. And I'm going to go over here and I'm going to take the inauthentic car that's going to just deal. I'm just going to make it happen. I'm going to use that willpower. I'm going to use that intellectual stuff. I'm just going to think my way up into the positive. I'm just going to power on. But that creates that inability to work through it. We're dissociating and we're creating an avenue with us where we don't get to really fully experience the joy, all of those amazing feelings, because we're riding two cars. It's uncomfortable because once those feelings come back up again, it's like they go back into this car. An example of this, and this is a holiday story. This is a common story. I just want to say many times people, like I said before, addictions. they don't want to deal with their emotions. So they're going to, let's use the example of drink. So I'm just going to drink and that'll make me feel better until we drink too much. And then all hell breaks loose. And there's a lot of angry drinkers out there. There's a lot of drinkers that do stuff and they don't remember what they have done. And that's an example of taking the other car. But when we reach that point in the drinking where we have done one too many, that's when this car comes in, and that's when the kid in the back seat's fully driving, and it can look like that fight in the fight, flight, freeze. So when you're not being authentic and you're taking this car, all of a sudden, all that stuff that we've been suppressing that we wanted to say or do comes straight to the surface, and a lot of times it's not pretty. Just saying. So if you found yourself doing that, or if someone around you does that, it's just a part of the program. So if you've done it yourself, as we go into the next feelings, one of the things that keeps us in that mode and keep wanting to suppress it is because we go into guilt, shame, remorse, those kind of feelings. Shame is a huge one. So when you are being authentic in the moment, you are looking at, oh, I did this. And why would I do it? You're looking at those reasons. You're getting that understanding and you're processing through it. It's not who we are. It's what we have learned to do. It's just the program. So when you are in the process of reprogramming, you're acknowledging, you're being authentic with yourself, acknowledging those feelings, acknowledging what happened. Why would I do that? And you're coming to your realizations, you're coming to your answers. More importantly, you're learning to dump the trunk and create a new pattern, create a new program. And it's all a process. So when you're in this method, that would be the first part of it. We're numb, we're dissociated, we're faking until we can't fake anymore. And in that, you have no emotional power. So then you're moving to this next one where you're feeling, but suppressing or lying about it. So then you're in your low power and there's still an inner conflict going on. Then you're moving to the next level where you're feeling, you're expressing authentically, even if it's messy, and you're getting more of your massive personal power. So nobody ever just clicks their finger and goes from this to that. This is the process of doing it. So then you're going to feeling and then expressing authentically, and you're being in that constructive communication. You're literally timing it. Like sometimes when I get angry, I won't say anything in the moment. I'll think about it. I'll bring my feelings down, and that's about the timing of it. Sometimes you see these things, you want to be in the timing of it where you're expressing it constructively when you're in a moment to be able to do that. Sometimes when we're in those heightened feelings, it doesn't come out as well as if we bring it all down and we ponder it for a while and we think about, how am I going to do this? And sometimes it's maybe you do it with another person. I've had people bring family members in and they do it, and we do it as a team and get on the other side of things. And so when you're doing that constructive communication, that's when you're going into your leadership. That's when you're going into your master level. That's when you're on the rungs of the ladder. You're moving from those hard feelings and you're moving over to calm. As you're communicating, you're moving up that hierarchy of these emotions with authenticity leading the way. It's like the authenticity is the thing that pulls you up there. It's that thing that gets you up there quicker because you're making it your process to deal with these things as they come. And again, I'm just saying, the first time you communicate with somebody or have to do this part of the process, it's a little strange because we've not done it like that before. But the more you do it, the better it gets. I'm going to move on to my next slide over here. This one I'm going to read for you because it's too much. I thought about this earlier and put it together, but this I'm going to read. Most personal growth is not about becoming more positive. You know, people always want to say, I know I need to just be more positive. It's not that. It's about becoming more authentic, and it's peeling off the masks until what is remaining is real. You know, so you take off those masks. I'm just going to be nice to them. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. You be authentic, and you be authentic with character, with your morals, with integrity. Those things, when you're leading the way with those and authenticity, you just can't go wrong. That's the bottom line. I still didn't turn off my phone. And so I'm going to read that again. It's about becoming more authentic, peeling off the masks until what's remaining is real. Only then do the higher emotions become available naturally, not as another performance. You know, a lot of times we don't even realize we're performing. You know, I'm just going to go there. I'm going to be nice. I'm going to say the right things. I'm going to do the right things. And on the inside, there's this whole battle raging for many of us. So you can climb as high as you want on the emotional ladder, but if the rungs are made up of lies, the whole structure collapses the moment life applies real weight. And then I wrote, this is for the car analogy. Authenticity is the chassis. So it's the authenticity is like the foundation of the car, like that big, huge metal thing that everything goes on. So when you're being authentic, that is the thing that supports everything. So everything else is chrome and upholstery. Authenticity is the chassis, and everything else is chrome and upholstery. And chrome and upholstery is all great. All the other things are fabulous with a car. But if you don't have that foundation, what good is it? Just saying. So look at your life with compassion, no judgment. Look at what you've got going on and think about what are those things that you might be unauthentic with. And then more importantly, why would I do that? What's going on here? Then you want to start to visualize and start to create those actions, start to do the things that make your life authentic. And again, it's a process. Nobody changed it in a day. Next topic. And this is something else that I was thinking about. I saw this thing and it said paying attention to. I might have written it myself. I don't know, but it was like, then my mind went to paying attention to and praying attention to. Very, very, very similar words. One thing changes the words that are in praying. So when we are paying attention to something, it's important to notice that. That's the second button, you know, intention, attention, and perception. So think of the word paying attention. And I wrote, these are the critical thinking questions that we ask ourselves when we're paying attention to something. And how do you know you're paying attention to anything? The feelings. If I'm angry, my paying attention is on something. If I'm anxious, if I'm worried, I'm stressed, all of those things, judgment, we are paying attention to something. So when you've got that and you have your attention, it's like it's a cost. It's like there's a consequence. So I wrote these questions that you want to ask yourself. Paying attention to, here's the questions. How does this cost me? So how does the anger cost you? How does the anxiety cost you? How do all of those feelings cost you in your life? What are you paying? Second question, what did I write here? Oh, I was writing two things together. Why do I care? So when you're paying attention to something, you're asking yourself that question, why do I care? Why would I put any attention on this? What does this mean? Next question. Why does it matter? Why is it important? Why would I have my attention here? On another level, how does it serve me? These are questions, when you're pondering them, you're getting to the ego, you're getting to the kid in the back seat. You're kind of, honestly, you're asking them, why is this important? What is this? So you're being the adult and your critical thinking, asking you, that higher part of you that has all the answers, not the higher, the other part of you that's got all the answers. Next one, what are the feelings this brings up when you've got your attention on something? And then, does my attention to this relate to my intention? Because a lot of times we'll have attention, paying attention to something, and it's not at all what we want. We put a lot of energy on it. We put a lot of, time and our thoughts on it. And it literally can deter from your intentions if it's not related. So when you're asking yourself all of those questions, that's when you get to the answers. That's when you can get to the program, the faulty thinking, all of those unconscious things that create that victimization loop. So when you are paying attention to what you've got your attention on, and it's those hard feelings, that's when you are able to be authentic. That's when you're able to be in the process to move things along and be back to your calm, be back to joy, be back to all of those great opportunities that life has to offer us. So when you're praying attention, I'll say that again. When you're praying attention, that's that part where you are connected with the first driver and you're letting the first driver know, look, I got my attention on some things. I'm looking for some answers. And I'm looking for you to assist me in driving right now because I got some stuff going on. So you're holding it in prayer. And that's that part where you are connecting with that higher part of you. You're understanding that connection. You're owning that connection. And then in the part of the prayer, you're saying, hey, this is what's happening. And where I want to put my attention is on the solutions for it. Where I want to put my attention on is anything and everything that will give me the answers so that I can move myself back over here authentically and let it go. Let it be done. Let it be worked through. So in the prayer, you're asking, you're commanding, you're knowing that this is all working out with your highest and best happening. You're trusting the process. You're saying, all right, this is a hard moment, but I'm learning from it. I'm growing from it. And thank you so much. That part of the prayer where appreciation does come in, that's like the icing on the cake. That's like it is a done deal. That's like you've gone through the car wash and it's polished and it is ready to go and you are feeling shiny. So that praying attention, once you have done that and you have gotten to your answers, there's a part of it where you let it go. It's already done. And you be back in the choice point and moving on to the next adventure. So when you do all of these things, I know it's a lot of information at first, but the more that you're doing it, the more you're taking those actions, it becomes just an integral part of your life. And you are, instead of paying attention, you're catching it and praying attention. Okay? So with all that being said, I am complete for this podcast. Thank you so much for watching. And I will be live next week with a very special guest. She owns Vitality Village. Her name is Monica Leslie, and she is just fabulous. I love her. So I might actually be at her place doing the podcast. So I would love it if you join us next Wednesday night at 6:00. In the meantime, have a fabulous week. And I'm just loving you so much. Take care. Bye for now.